Hello and welcome. Welcome to AWS What's Next or What's New. Networks can have problems, right? Networks go away. Networks, well, it's fun to troubleshoot them, right? Especially when it comes to a lot of VPCs, complex environments, enterprise systems. Troubleshooting VPCs, I have spent many days and years, or well, a lot of time troubleshooting those things. So if we had a tool, a service, a feature that can help us troubleshoot connectivity issues from point A to point B, how cool would that be? My name is Darko Mesaros, and today I have the senior developer from AWS VPC, or Amazon VPC, AWS VPC, Sagar here, and today we will be talking about AWS VPC Reachability Analyzer, something, well, that can potentially detect problems such as this on your VPC. Sagar, welcome. Please tell us who you are, what are you going to talk about, and well, yeah, go ahead.
Hey, hi Darko. I'm happy to be here. So I've been at Amazon for about 5 years now, and I've been working on this product since 1.5 years. I've been leading engineering team, and I have about 10 years of experience in this industry, and
Okay.
I'm excited. And it's exciting to be at Amazon at this time.
Absolutely, it is, especially at reInvent, right? It's always fun.
Yep.
It's fun to be at AWS during reInvent because we have nothing to do. It's just a laid back opportunity. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, it's 1 a.m. my time. I'm based in
Ooh,
Europe, so
yeah.
I get to you. I come to you live from my bedroom. So don't we all? So today we will be talking about VPC Reachability Analyzer. We're going to be discussing what is this and how does it help you. What problems does it solve? How can you use it? How does it work? And Sagar promised me a sweet demo. So
Hmm.
I'm looking forward
Yeah.
to that. So let's go ahead. First of all, Sagar, I did joke with my cable here.
Yeah.
But what problems does VPC Reachability Analyzer actually solve, not broken cables?
Yeah. Remember, Darko, when you first heard of AWS and you were like, oh, I should go and try that because it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And then you went ahead and you launched an instance, right? And then you set up your SSH and you tried to SSH an instance and it
Okay.
didn't work. And then you had to rack your brains and figure out what's wrong. You look at your route tables, your NACL, security groups, read documentation, spend a lot of time trying to figure out, and
Okay.
finally get it working, right? Now
Yep.
imagine all of that happening in like few clicks, right? That's what this product is about.
All the troubleshooting. So hear me out. Like when I first joined AWS, that was like 5 years ago, right?
Mhm.
And I've started messing around with EC2 instances, VPCs, and whatnot. I think back then VPC endpoints were not a thing, or they were. I don't know. It's a blur. So I remember once trying to connect two instances because I just wanted to SCP files from one other, and for some reason it didn't work. I've spent like a good part of my day, my productive day, figuring out what the problem was. Now, I, as an AWS engineer, should have been able to kind of figure that out. I had a relatively complex system with multiple VPCs and some
Mhm.
peering and whatnot, and I couldn't figure out what the problem was.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it must be my key. Oh, SSH and then triple Vs or quadruple Vs, and nothing works. So I did spend some time. Would this thing help me with that?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
okay, interesting. And okay, of course, besides the manual thing, pings and all that stuff, how customers handle these things right now?
Yeah, I mean, right now, like you said, right, it's a very tedious job of trial and error, figuring out which route table, which NACL has a incorrect
Right.
configuration. Customers also reach out to their own network specialists in their own organizations,
Okay.
and also customers also reach out to AWS support to get help if they're not able to figure out what's exactly wrong.
Yep.
But with this tool, it's going to be very easy.
Yeah, and I used to work in premium support before, well, a long time ago, AWS premium support, and I
Yeah.
used to support things such as EC2, beyond other things. And customers would come to me like, "Hey, Darko, I cannot reach service A from service B," and usually my answer to them was like, "Can you ping it?" Or like, "Oh, enable VPC flow logs," and VPC flow logs can be expensive, can be
Yeah.
cumbersome. You have like this fire hose of data coming at you, and like sometimes it's difficult to see what you do. And my understanding is that this new wonderful feature will kind of help with that, right? So,
Mhm.
how does VPC Reachability Analyzer Lovely name, by the way. It actually describes what it does. How does VPC Reachability Analyzer do this for us? How does it solve our network troubleshooting problem?
Right. So, like traditional analysis and network connectivity troubleshooting tools, this product does not send any traffic through the network. It completely relies on configuration of your VPC components. What it
Okay.
does is that it makes a describe calls on your behalf,
Okay.
and then it analyzes that data, and then it looks at your source and destination and tries to figure out what is wrong, why a source cannot reach a destination, or if it can, then it gives you a hop by hop explanation as to how the packet might flow through the network.
So no pings.
No pings.
How do you troubleshoot network without pinging? Come on, sir.
So, I mean, we have, you might have heard about this in our last reInvent or
Okay.
previous reInvents about a service called Tyros. And
Okay.
this service uses automated reasoning to do this magic. So it makes these calls, it gets the information, and it figures out what you need to do to get these source and destination to connect.
Automated reasoning does sound like
Mhm.
some magic out there. But okay. VPC Reachability Analyzer basically goes through your network configuration. So it analyzes configuration, does not
Yes.
send anything through the network, no probes, no
Nothing.
pings. Okay.
Nothing.
And then it basically kind of deduces what you have running, and well, not what. How did you configure your VPC?
Yes.
Oh, okay, interesting. That's a very interesting approach, because I would understand that's fast to do, right?
Yep.
Okay, interesting. And how do you see our customers using this kind of a thing?
So there are a few use cases where customers can definitely use this, and one of the things that we've been talking about so far is troubleshooting, right?
Yeah.
Our VPC has rich set of tools that can help customer build complex and large networks.
Okay.
And then when you have a complex large network, it kind of gets tricky to figure out if something is wrong in the network. And so one of the applications of this tool will be actually debugging such areas where you're trying to find why these two components in my VPC cannot talk to each other.
Right.
The second one, what we would love to talk about is called as intent verification. What I
Okay.
mean by that is when you design your network, and I'm going to share a slide here so it makes easy.
Okay. Yeah. Let's pick it up on that. So magic slide show up somehow, maybe.
Yep. Let me know when you can see it.
We have the wonderful person called Eric here, and he's going to help us do that, hopefully. If not, I can do an interpretive dance if you want. I can act as a slide. Wait, I used to remember. Oh, the slide comes here. Go ahead, Zagar.
All right. So imagine a scenario where you have a 3-layered architecture, right? Where you have a web server in a subnet, application
Okay.
server, and a database, right? And you want to make sure that your web servers do not or cannot talk to your data servers. That is your intent, right?
Okay.
Now, how do you verify that after setting all the configurations? How do you verify that the configuration that you've done is matching your intent? Now
Okay.
that you can verify using VPC Reachability Analyzer.
Oh, so let me try to distill what I understand here. So besides just checking for broken cables, right? You can also check for things such as, is this doing what I want it to do? Now that can be
Exactly.
Hey, my network should work, right? Or so in this lovely 3-tier architecture, I have web servers, application servers, and database servers. I want my database servers to talk only to the application servers, or well, that set of things.
Yes.
And I can use the VPC Reachability Analyzer to actually test that. Does that work?
Yes. Yes.
But I can also test that it doesn't work, right?
Yes. You can do both.
Okay.
And there's one more application which is very important. That is continuous monitoring.
Okay.
We recommend that customers actually plug this reachability analyzer in their canaries or their deployment verification scenarios, where they can continuously run their analysis and figure out whether their deployments are actually not breaking their flows or vice versa. So that is very important for customers to quickly figure out what has gone wrong in the network.
I would agree. Like, I think that's a very, very useful thing. Think of this as a continuous monitoring. I had experiences with customers who had to have constant auditing of their entire system. Does it work? Is it the state that you wish it to be, right? So this could be part of your overall observability approach to how does your network look or your entire workload. That's a pretty interesting thing. So 3 ways. Actually troubleshoot, right? See if look for those broken cables. Number 2, check for intent. See, is your VPC configured the way you want it? Actually, does your network flow the way you want it or the way you do not want it to flow?
Exactly.
And third is check for highly critical connections or link. Are they up? Verify that they are running constantly. So that's a pretty use case. When I first heard about this service, when we first initially talked to them, I was like, oh, it's a cool troubleshooting service. But I think it's much more than that. So
it is.
That is pretty much cool. And you mentioned this reasonability engine. Is that the word?
Automated reasoning.
Automated reasoning.
You're talking about Kiros?
Yes. So, what does it actually do? Can you kind of take me through all of that? So from of course as much as you can. What does it actually analyze? What things does it look at, and what things can we use? What can we actually do to test these things?
Yeah. So getting into too much details, since we don't have so much time.
Yeah.
What Tiros exactly does is it makes describe calls on customer's behalf.
Okay.
And the describe call in general have all the configuration information of a particular component.
Okay.
For example, if you take in an instance, right? When you describe an instance, you get different properties and configurations of an instance.
Okay.
So similarly, the Tiros would actually make a describe calls for all the components that are within your VPC. Okay. And then it will try to figure out, okay, now I have this information, and now you give me source and destination. Now I can figure out whether the source and destination can connect each other. So it takes that whole picture into consideration and tries to figure it out.
And what are these sources and destinations? What can they be? I mean, is it just two EC2 instances? Is it gateways? What is it?
So we support gateways, peering connections, transit gateways, instances, ENIs, and there is a list we can share at the end of what all is supported by VPC Reachability Analyzer.
And it's all in that documentation, I guess.
It is.
Maybe I could have read the documentation, but that would make for not a fun stream. I don't get to ask you these questions. But and this is a really good point, because it's easy to test. Well, it's easy to test connectivity between two instances, but it's not so easy to test connectivity between two, gateways, right? It's much more complex to do things, to test things. Can you do like NAT gateways as well?
Yes.
So how would you test it? How can you test
NAT gateway?
Exactly. So this gives you that on top of everything as well. So, that's pretty cool. And what kind of is it just doing a TCP check?
So right now we support TCP and UDP as the two protocols, but we'll be working on supporting more in the future.
No ICMP. Again, Sagar, we're talking about testing network, and nobody wants no ping. What? I mean, but okay. I'll take your word for it. Maybe sometime ping should be. Ping was the default too. Okay, so you can support TCP, UDP, and you define a port or something like that.
You can. It's optional. Okay. You can define a port if you choose to.
Okay. That's very cool. Perfect. I was told there would be a demo, so I think we can get Sagar to kind of conjure up a demo, and Eric can put it on the screen somehow. But yes, so I guess you can take me through the demo and one of the things you will be showing, and maybe we can elaborate on my questions as we go along.
Sounds good.
So it's eventual consistency. Give it a moment. Boom! There it is.
All right.
Excellent. So Sagar, can you just zoom in a bit so we can all see it a bit better? Yeah, thank you very much.
Let me know. This is better?
It's much better, yeah.
Okay. So this is the page for Reachability Analyzer. You can find Reachability Analyzer on the left side here in your VPC console. And I've already created a path, but let's go create a new one. So when you create a path, you can specify a source and a destination, and
And,
then here you have a list of source types
and a
you can
path
choose
is
from.
a network path, right? Is that what you're talking about?
So this path is a specific to this tool. It
Okay.
is not a network path as such.
Okay.
So what the intention is to keep this source and destination information stored
Okay.
somewhere, so you can reuse the same information to do analysis multiple times over that
Ah.
information.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so we are calling it path.
Okay.
So for now, let's choose instances, and then I'm going to just give an example of a path between two instances.
So we are gonna
Yeah,
test the connection between these two instances running inside of your account, right?
that is correct.
I see a source IP address here as
Mm-hmm.
an optional thing. I guess this is useful for if you have like a Bastion instance or a Hotbox which has multiple network interfaces, so you can kind of define which one you want to test
Exactly.
it from. Okay, that's very
Exactly.
cool.
Yeah. I mean, if you can choose to specify a specific IP address associated with the instance,
Okay,
or otherwise the tool will actually go through all the combinations.
okay, that's very cool.
For destination, again, it's like I said before, it's optional. You can give a number if you want. Let's put 22 for now,
Okay,
and let's keep the protocol as TCP for this test.
okay,
And I'm going to click create and analyze. So what happens is that the tool creates a path for you and then starts your first analysis, which you can see that has come here under pending.
okay,
So this analysis is an asynchronous workflow, which means that it might take from few seconds to few minutes, depending on the
okay.
size of the network. And when it's done analyzing, it's going to tell you whether these two instances can connect to each other or not.
Okay.
So let's check that. So there we go. We have the status is not reachable.
Okay.
And now we can figure out why, right? So the explanation tells me that there are no egress rules in the security group. And that's why I am not able to connect these two instances,
So,
right?
so
Yeah,
it
go ahead.
points you to that security group saying, hey, this security group doesn't give access to. If you hover over that security group, does it give you some details or
No, you need
nothing?
to.
Okay.
Yeah, there is no hover capability here, but you can click on the security group
Okay.
that will take you to this exact security group, and you can create an
see that.
outbound rule here. Let's do that.
Okay.
Let's create a simple outbound rule,
I see
and
what
then
you can
let's
do.
yeah. Sorry, my bad.
That's fine.
Save.
That's the
and then
safest rule, right?
Yeah. All right, let's go back.
I guess it's the first one, which was the
Yep,
first
the first
one.
one.
It's the
Yeah,
first
just
one.
making sure.
Yeah.
All right, and then in order to analyze this again, I'm just
Okay.
going to click this button, Analyze Path.
Okay.
Now, this is a very interesting functionality.
Okay.
Like we mentioned before, right? In a network, you can have a source destination pair can have multiple paths among them. And now let's say you have a path that goes through a load balancer, right?
Okay.
And you want to have that specific path analyzed. You can do that by providing the ARN of that load balancer in this text area here. This is we refer to as intermediate component.
And what kind of components is it supported in this case? All the components that this thing supports, or
So we support NAT gateways and load balancers.
okay, got it. Okay, that's fine. So you
For
can
now,
you can put your NAT gateway or a load balancer ARNs in this case, so
Yes.
you can direct the traffic to go through that. All right.
Yes, exactly. I don't have anything in my account, so I'm just going to keep it blank.
Okay.
And let it analyze. So you can see the second one has kicked in,
Yeah.
and it's still pending. And we're hoping that this time it will connect.
Interesting enough, like this didn't show on the initial. Like did we have that option to add like a load balancer in the initial setup, or it's only on the
No, so
subsequent?
only subsequent. So the initial one, we are trying to keep it easy for
Okay.
customers, so that you don't have to start looking for the components that are within the network, right? Which means you have to figure out what the path is.
Okay.
So I will tell you a little bit more about why we did that once
Okay.
this thing succeeds.
Okay. There we go.
All right.
It's done.
It's done, right? So now when you scroll down, in this case, it tells you hop by hop information of how this packet is going to go through from this instance
Yeah.
to the other instance.
Okay.
And if you hover over, for example, it tells
There we
you
go.
that which outbound rule it actually matched.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you asked me a question about how do I specify a component filter, right? Why can't I specify
Yeah.
in the beginning? Now, what we have added here, and unfortunately, I won't be able to show this demo to you, but when you analyze a path with a source and destination that has multiple paths,
Okay.
we try to provide you hints saying that, okay, this is the shortest path, but there is another path between these two instances that go through, for example, a load balancer. And that load balancer ARN is this. So you can take that information and plug it in here if you want to analyze that specific path.
Okay. Okay. That's pretty cool. I mean, I understand that the requirement for having like the first run capabilities is to be very, very simple. But this is cool. So I like the fact that you have the output. Now, one of the things that we didn't mention here is this is, you can confirm with this, but it's not only the console. You can actually use the API and the CLI. And do tell me, is there CloudFormation support?
Yes, it does.
Yay! Oh, there we go. Excellent. So, yes, we need CloudFormation support for all the things. Excellent. That is very cool. Now, thank you very much for the demo. Now, let me get into some of the interesting parts. Cross-region, multi-account, maybe?
In the future, yes.
In the future, okay.
We don't support cross-region and cross-account at this point,
Okay.
but we will plan to support that in the future.
Okay. It's important that this is coming because I think that's a very important feature. Especially, hey, this is a service or a feature intended for people troubleshooting large-scale deployments. And, well, we usually like to have large-scale deployments across regions and accounts. That's very cool. In the terms of pricing, how much would this, cost?
So we are charging about 10 cents per analysis.
Okay. So only per, that's very cool. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And for like keeping I saw that like it keeps the records for 90 days.
There is no separate charge for that.
Excellent, even better. So, hey, auditing people, or there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
You can keep it all forever. And speaking of all forever, limits. Is there something that people should know about? Like how many paths can they have? How many analysis can you run in parallel? Because we should know about those things.
Yeah. We do have limits, and you can explore them in the Service Quota webpage. Yeah. But we have 100 path limit per account, 1,000 analysis limit per account, and then we have a 6 analysis in parallel limit. And all these limits can be increased. You'll need to reach out to AWS customer support for that.
As long as they can be increased, that's very fine. Sagar, thank you very much. So we had a chance to actually hear about this latest feature called VPC Reachability Analyzer, which can help you from troubleshooting your broken cables, your network VPC issues, to actually asserting is a specific state or network configuration set, like can certain servers reach other servers or not reach the other ones, and also enables you to do continuous monitoring of critical network paths. Are they capable of delivering the network traffic? It does not send packets through the network. It only analyzes static configuration. So no pings, no pings. no packets through your network, only static analysis, which is much safer and much faster. With that being said, Sagar, thank you very much for sharing this story with everybody.
Thank you for having me.
This is the link, by the way, this is the link to the blog post about VPC Reachability Analyzer. Thank you, Eric. I would have forgotten that. So this is the link to the blog post if you want to read more. There's a great CloudFormation template there that you can use to play around with this with all the, basically, you can see the example, concrete example there. So thank you once again. I think we're going to go offline, off air quite soon, and there's going to be some more fun on the AWS on air channel. Sagar, once again, thank you very much, and thank you everybody for tuning in.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.